our channel. My name is Hafsa Saleem. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 essential things to have as a new chicken owner before you bring home your chickens. This video is specific to the needs of adult chickens, chickens which are already laying eggs or about to start laying. So we'll be covering in another video things that you need specifically for chicks, as well as where you can pick up chickens. If you're interested in learning more about backyard farming and raising chickens, then click on the subscribe link below. The first thing that you'll need to get is a chicken coop. It is essential that you have a chicken coop or some kind of enclosure for your chickens before you bring them home. You can either buy a chicken coop at a store or online. You could also build your own coop or have someone build it for you if you know someone that knows how to do that kind of work. The chicken coop that's right behind me was our first coop. We did buy our first coop. We wanted to save ourselves time and energy, so we simply bought one. If you're looking to buy one, there are many different types of stores out there that sell chicken coops, and it is great if you can go see them because chicken coops come in all different styles, sizes, and colors. So it's great to be able to go in and see them yourself in person before deciding to buy one. If on the other hand you decide you want to buy one online because maybe you live in an area where you don't have easy access to a store, a physical store that sells chicken coops, realize that if you do buy a chicken coop online, when they ship it to you, you may have to assemble that chicken coop yourself because it's being shipped to you. And also, the material that is used to build that chicken coop might be of a lesser or lighter quality since it's being delivered to you. If on the other hand, you like the idea of building your own chicken coop because you already have some experience in building things out of wood, then you can go ahead and do that. Our second coop we did build ourselves once we already knew from experience firsthand exactly what went into a chicken coop, what the chickens need to keep them healthy, to keep them happy. But it did take us a little bit of time to put it together. We found a plan online. We bought our own wood. We went to a local sawmill, picked up the wood that we wanted to our specifications, put it together. It took us about a week to put it together, and my husband and I had never built something like this before, so it was a bit of a project for us. If you are the kind of person that loves to do DIY projects, then naturally you could take this on. If you do have a friend or someone you know that can build one for you and you simply give them a design, or maybe they already have a design because they've already built coops in the past, that's also a great thing to go with. Now, a couple things that you'll see when you're out shopping for coops. Some coops are standalone, just like the one that's behind me. Some coops have a chicken run attached. A chicken run is simply a large enclosure attached to the chicken coop, which has free airflow. If your chickens are not going to be free range, maybe you have a small backyard and you want to get a chicken run, then it's a good idea to get one that already comes with the chicken coop. You'll save yourself time by doing that. They have some chicken runs there which are full size with a full size door which an adult can walk in to that space. Some coops have wheels on them, which is great if you want to be able to move your chicken coop around your yard or your property. Coops, usually even on a small scale, will weigh a couple 100 pounds. They're not that easy to move. So if they have wheels, that's absolutely a bonus. And lastly, most chicken coops will already have nesting boxes attached, either on one side or on both sides, so you don't have to add on nesting boxes. Nesting boxes, if you don't know, are simply areas where chickens lay their eggs. They need a specific designated area to do that. You don't want them laying their eggs anywhere or in the area that they sleep. They need a separate space, which is called a nesting box. A basic starter chicken coop is going to cost you anywhere from $250 to $500 roughly, and it depends on what size coop you're getting for the number of chickens you're getting as well. Of course, it also makes a difference if you're going to get a chicken run attached to it. It will be a fair to average quality chicken coop. If you want a larger coop or a better quality coop, it'll usually cost much more than $500. It might cost $800, $1,000 and beyond. The larger chicken coops are well over $1,000, and they usually are really great quality. It's a great idea to have one that is already raised off of the ground, even if it's only a few inches. because it allows for better air circulation all around the coop. It also helps with flooding. If you have a lot of heavy rains at any time of the year in your area, it will prevent your chicken coop from being flooded if it's already raised. It also prevents rats and mice from nesting in that area. And biggest thing of all is it prevents predators from burrowing up underneath into the coop. Our chickens, personally, we see they love to run and hide underneath the coop when they feel that there is a predator around, as well as when it rains. When it pours, they love to run and hide underneath there. That is their favorite spot to be in to stay dry. Another thing to look for is the entrances to the coop. You have the front door of the coop. There should be a ramp that opens and closes easily, has a lock at the top so you can lock it at night. It's a great idea to have a ramp at the front entrance, especially if the coop is a little bit higher, so that the chickens are not jumping in and out of a very narrow doorway, which they usually are. The nesting box, whether you have one nesting box on either side or on one side, there should be a lid that also opens and closes easily so you can get your eggs out every single day, as well as a lock again. You need to have a lock on every single doorway to the coop. There should be a back door, which is usually much larger, which allows you to have ease of access into the coop so you can clean it out however often you need to clean it out, to freshen it up, to add more water, add more feed for your chickens. There should be at least one or more windows so that you have fresh air coming into the coop, especially in the summertime. Chickens don't sweat, they pant in the heat, and when they pant, they spread their wings out on the sides, and it requires them to have more space around them. So if you have a window open at night while the other doors are locked, it helps them to stay cool. And of course, it's great for them to have natural daylight coming in the morning. On the inside of the coop, two things very important to have. The first one is a perch. A perch is simply a wooden beam that runs across the coop, and the chickens sit on that perch and they sleep on it at night. It is called roosting. The perch should be made of wood, not metal, not plastic. Wood is the best thing to go with. You want to use untreated wood that has been sanded down so that there are no splinters. And also, it's good to have multiple perches depending on the number of chickens you have. The second thing to look for inside the coop is the flooring. A lot of coops will simply have a very simple wooden base floor on there. You can add vinyl or any other material that you want to use to line the floor, because at some point moisture will get in there, either from rain or from them spilling their water, or maybe their droppings just fill up really quickly. And in order to have your coop last a lot longer, it's a great idea to line it. When we got our first chicken coop, we simply lined it with vinyl that we picked up at a local hardware store. We lined the base of the coop as well as the 3 nesting boxes, and then we added the bedding on top of it. The second thing that you'll need to get for the chicken coop is some sort of bedding. There are many different options out there of different materials that you can use to place in the coop as bedding. It is essential that you place something in there as bedding for them to help keep it dry and soft, as well as clean for your chickens, because they will have a lot cleaner eggs if you do place some sort of bedding in there. You can use straw, pine shavings. Some alternative things you can use are grass clippings, which are dried out, shredded leaves, also dried out. For us, we personally go with very fine pine shavings. That's what we've used from day one. We love pine shavings because they absorb water extremely well, and they also have a really great scent. We have no problem every morning when we come up to let out the chickens to take an extra 5 minutes and scoop out their droppings from the night before. Throughout the day, because our chickens are free range, the coop is empty anyway, and it stays extremely clean throughout the day until the next morning. The third thing that you'll need to get are containers for their water and for their feed. You cannot give chickens simply a bowl of water or a plate of feed because they will knock it over. Chickens constantly scratch at the ground, especially when they see food or water, and that is why they will knock it over and make a mess. If you do that, you will also be wasting feed by doing that. So simply take the extra steps in getting the proper feeders and water containers for them before you bring them home. Luckily, these containers only cost a few dollars and they come in all different sizes, small, medium, large, also in many different styles and colors. I would recommend have multiple containers for their feed and for their water inside the coop, outside the coop, in the run, and around your property if they're going to be free range. Whatever containers you're using, you also want to raise them. You can use cinder blocks, you can use bricks, you can use logs, whatever you have, whatever extra materials you may have to raise them. Use something to raise them so that the chickens will not knock them over. Have it at almost eye level for them if you can. If you have any spots in the coop, outside the coop, or in the run where you can hang their feeders, some feeders also have a hook at the top that allows you to hang them. We have a mix of both. Some of our containers are hanging. We have one right in front of their coop that hangs from the tree that sits right beside their coop. That's the first feeder that they go to in the morning. We have one inside of the coop hanging for the chicks as well, and all of them are very easy to put together. You simply twist off the top, fill them with the feed or with the water, place the bottom of it onto the top, screw it back together, and when you flip it over, the water or the feed will slowly come out over time. The fourth thing to get for your chickens is their feed as well as grit, which is something that you mix into their feed, which helps with their digestion process. Now, there's many different types of feed out there. I know for me, when I started looking for different types of feed for our chickens, I was a little bit overwhelmed because there's many different brands as well as many different types of feed. But when I realized that everything has a category, it was a lot easier to understand it. If you are getting chickens which are between 6 to 20 weeks old, or maybe they're about to start laying, which is right around 20 weeks, then you can give them grower chick feed, which is a little bit less in protein. It's 16 to 18%. If your chickens are a little bit older, maybe they're already laying, then you can give them layer feed, which makes sense if they're already laying. The last two types of feed that you can get for your chickens are called crumble and pellets. It's great to start with crumble before you give your chickens pellets. Crumble and pellets are essentially the same exact thing. They're simply in a different format. Crumble is exactly that. It's a crumble format. It's very semi-loose feed. Pellets, on the other hand, are very compact. We started with crumble feed initially with our adult chickens, and then we slowly transitioned them into pellets. They seem to like both pretty much the same. And lastly, you want to add grit to any form of feed that you are giving your chickens. Grit is simply ground up granite. For younger chickens, it's very finely ground. For older chickens, it'll be a little bit larger. And they come in three different forms. You have insoluble, soluble, and mixed, which I think is pretty self-explanatory just by those terms. Grit is very important to mix into your chicken's feed because it helps with their digestive system as well as having healthier eggs if you have chickens that are already laying their eggs. When it comes to all these different types of feed, there are many different brands out there. When you are shopping either in a store or online, take the time to actually read the back of the packaging, read the ingredients, read what age chickens it's meant for, even what type of chickens. You may have chickens that you are breeding or raising for meat, some chickens that you are raising for eggs, or some chickens that are dual purpose, you are raising for both. So you have many different options out there, as well as medicated versus non-medicated feed, organic versus non-organic. It's truly up to you what you decide to go with. Our advice is test out a couple different brands, see what your chickens will like, and if they don't like it, then simply don't buy that same brand next time. Try something new. The fifth thing to get for your chickens is a fence. Even if you have a chicken run attached to the coop, it's still a great idea to have a small fence around that area for a couple different reasons. When we initially started with our chickens, even though we knew they were going to be free range from day one, we still placed a small 50-foot fence around the coop, and every morning we would bring in fresh feed for them. They associated us immediately with food, and they became a lot more trusting of us. Throughout that week, we also spent a good deal of time hanging out around that fenced-in area, so they became a lot more familiar with us. So a couple things happened when we took that fence off after the first week. The first thing was they were very familiar and friendly with us. They weren't running away from us no matter where we were on the property, which is great. You don't want your chickens running away from you. But the second thing, which is way more important, is that they knew their territory. Now, our chickens go pretty far. They cover at least over an acre around the coop, but they all knew, even on that first day, exactly where to come back to in the evening. Like clockwork, they all came back on their own without us having to look for them or call them. They all came back to their coop right before sunset, and they've done that every day since then. So that's why it's great to train them so that they know their territory and their safe zone. Another reason why it's a great idea to have a fence, whether you have a chicken run or not, is because chickens have many predators. It's an unfortunate part of being a chicken owner. You may lose one or more of your chickens at some point. So a fence naturally would be better to help keep other animals out. And lastly, it's so that your chickens don't wander. You don't want them wandering off into someone else's property or onto the road if you live nearby a road. So consider getting a fence before you bring your chickens home. Are you ready to get chickens? If you are taking notes, hopefully you are, because now you know exactly what you need to get before you bring home your chickens. If you enjoyed this video, then click on the like button below and drop a comment, mention maybe what you learned from this video as well. If you're interested in learning more about backyard farming and raising chickens, click on the subscribe button below, and there will definitely be several links in the description box referencing everything I simply covered in this message. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our future videos. Are you ready to get chickens? If you are taking notes...
Are you ready to get chickens?
Are you ready now to get chickens?
Are you ready to get chickens?
Are you ready to get chickens? If you are taking notes, hopefully you are, because now you know exactly what you need to get before you bring home your chickens. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our future videos.